Chapter 1. The traveler awoke, and he knew quite a few things for certain. For instance, he knew he could see in the infrared spectrum, along with the ultraviolet wavelength. He knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was on temporal nexus point Earth in the Edo province of Japan in the year 1867. When the traveler stood, he further viewed that he was in a clearing on the edge of a forest. Nothing strange about that. What was peculiar, however, was that all of the grass and shrubbery and foliage around him, about an acre total, was scorched black. How very odd, he thought. What was also odd, thought the man in green, was that he had absolutely no idea who he was. He looked up in the air and saw the sun in the distance, but also something else. A phone booth, red, British style. How very odd. Simply floating several stories above him. The traveler's enhanced senses had alerted him several moments prior about the presence. The cavalry headed his way. He hadn't really cared. Not until they arrived. The amnesiac CHRONARCH turned to find 6 mounted, fully armored samurai had been dispatched from the local prefecture to investigate a severe disturbance. For their part, the samurai viewed what they determined to be a demon, an oni, a strange green devil, glowing emerald energy seemingly from hell itself, some dragon man. Of course, the samurai screamed at him. Of course, the traveler tried his best to communicate, yet the warriors from 1867 were having none of it. 5 of the retainer samurai released arrows, 3 arrows apiece, slinging a total of 15 total arrows with lethal points in under a second, blurring through the heavens toward the glowing emerald dragon man. When he smiled, the traveler's mouth poured forth powerful jade energy, along with his eyes. The arrows disintegrated upon contact. The amnesiac Time Lord in the crisp emerald suit tilted his head.
I always heard the Japanese, especially the samurai, were known for their politeness and displays of respect.
The group of provincial retainers were stunned, shouting obscenities in ancient Japanese at the green demon. They suddenly found their weapons had evaporated in their hands. Now, they were no longer angry. They were afraid. The traveler had simply to wave, and suddenly, the samurai found themselves relieved of their clothing, sitting backward on their horses, naked, in a full gallop back to Edo.
How disappointing.
The traveler in green shook his head as he waved them goodbye. He then noticed his hands were still emanating that peculiar jade glow. Some bizarre emerald-hued energy wafted from him, as if his skin was the only membrane holding back a supernova. The traveler wasn't incorrect. After speculating, the man in green returned his attention to the British phone booth, which hung in the sky. The moment he looked upon it, however, it plummeted, as if it were a marionette with the strings cut. After a 5-second-long freefall, the phone booth crashed to scorched earth with a horrendous impact, spewing dirt into the air and sending nearby birds screaming. When the dust settled, the traveler walked to the smashed, red British phone booth. He began to open the door, yet found that his touch caused the outer casing to collapse. The phone booth pieces fell, tumbling like tiles from a wall. When the red portions fell to the ground, they vanished into ashes, then into nothingness. Only ebony cinders remained of the red shell. Underneath, seemingly the entire time, had been a large, green pagoda. The structure was about the same size as the red phone booth had been, about the size of a common vending machine. Yet it was different. Concave, thatched roofing depicted a standard Asian building style. It sported intricate jade-accented tile and woodwork, highlighted by green and emerald decorative motifs. The pagoda looked as if it belonged to a Tibetan monastery, a device used sometimes for prayer, but mostly for housing candles, incense, and bells. A quasi-religious Asian toolshed. The amnesiac Time Lord shrugged and opened the green door. Inside was darkness, and then blackness, and then seemingly endless nothingness. He shouted, "Hello?" and his voice echoed from far, far away. This was the only response. His first step inside lit up a faintly green, incandescent floor panel below him. He continued to the second step, lighting up a bit more. On the third step, there was more light, yet he still couldn't manage to even see the ceiling of this colossal interior. The fourth was different. The fourth step lit up an entire cross-section of flooring, revealing a multi-sided podium. On the floor, next to the strange green lectern, lay a smashed, smoking red watch. The man in green bent down and picked it up. When he placed his free hand and the broken temporal wrist device on the podium, the center exploded in emerald energy upward. Abruptly, the interior was completely lit, and the man in green was not impressed. Inside was nothing but a bare, metal-framed factory. Endless acres of empty, emerald-hued metal walls. Nothing else. No furniture, no bathrooms, not even any pictures. The Chronarch in the green suit sighed. "Hello?" He shouted again, hopefully. Far overhead, from some ancient intercom system, came a series of vaguely female-sounding technical crackles. Combined with the unintelligible echoes this produced, the overall effect was incredibly creepy. He removed a lime-colored scarf from his suit and wiped his forehead. "Oh dear, what am I to make of this tomfoolery? This ballyhoo?" He gazed at the green, grated, industrial metal flooring as he rubbed the back of his neck. When he looked up, the Time Lord glimpsed a single, flashing button he hadn't noticed before. Or perhaps it simply wasn't there before. Regardless, Mr. Green pressed the emerald button.